In this video, a beginner's guide to cargo e-bikes, sponsored by Lectric and their brand new limited edition colorways of the Lectric XPedition. But don't worry, even though this bike will be featured as we go through all the things that you should think about before buying a cargo e-bike, like frame design, weight capacity, motor power, and yes, even the confusing reality of child seats and so much more. This video will be applicable to any cargo e-bike you are considering. But yes, I do recommend the Lectric XPedition, though we have put thousands and thousands of miles on cargo electric bikes. You can check out tons of reviews that we've done. But if you do decide that the Lectric XPedition is your cargo e-bike, do me one quick favor and use our link down in the description before you make your purchase. It's a free way for you to say thank you, and I thank you for supporting our channel. With that, let's get started. So what is a cargo e-bike? You'll notice this long rack on the rear. This is what makes a cargo e-bike a cargo e-bike. Tons of space for hauling kids, groceries, whatever you want to haul. Now this is what I would refer to as a long tail cargo bike because there's a ton of space back here. You can see there's two windows. We'll talk about those later in the video. And there are really three different kinds of cargo e-bikes. You have a long tail, that's what I consider this one. You have mid-tail, which is kind of an in-between, and then of course short tail, but I usually call short tail cargo e-bikes utility e-bikes. It's just more of a easy distinction. And utility e-bikes are going to basically cut this rack in half. They might allow for one child seat in the rear, still going to be capable, but just not as capable of a long rack like this one. And most often, all of these racks are going to be welded right to the frame to increase weight capacity. We'll get into that. But what is a cargo e-bike? Well, as the name implies, it's made for hauling cargo. Let's talk geometry. If you haven't seen a cargo e-bike before, this looks a little bit different than your traditional style diamond frame bike. And one of the reasons, yes, the rear rack, but also these smaller wheels. So most often you're going to see 20-inch wheels on cargo e-bikes, and that's to keep the weight as low as possible because when you put a ton of weight on a cargo e-bike, it can get tippy. So keeping the weight distribution low is super important. And something you might want to keep an eye out for is sometimes you'll have a larger wheel in the front, but the rear wheel will still be smaller. Now, what's nice about that is that can accommodate taller riders, makes you more comfortable in the cockpit, but still helps keep the weight distribution low in the rear. Let's get to our next topic, weight capacity. It is so important, and trust me, it varies a lot across cargo e-bikes, especially in the affordable category, so make sure you pay special attention to all the specs that a company lists. In the case of the Lectric XPedition, this rear rack is capable of hauling 300 pounds. That is massive. And then Lectric lists a 330-pound capacity for the rider. Now, I have seen rear racks only capable of around 140 pounds. And as someone who started my e-bike journey with a cargo e-bike, one that my wife and I rode together all around town. I know it looked goofy, but I liked the capability of being able to do that. Plus a higher weight capacity, say you have children, as they get older, you can still ride a cargo e-bike and you can just load it up with tons of stuff. So make sure you're getting one that's rated to suit your needs. Next, perhaps an underappreciated aspect of a cargo e-bike is the accessories that they offer. Don't just look at the cargo e-bike on the product page. You need to click over to their accessories to see what is available. And these accessories are key to make a cargo e-bike do what you want it to do. Now, in the case of the XPedition, there are a ton of accessories. I'll briefly mention the Childseats, but I'm going to have a separate part of this video dedicated to those Childseats because it is super confusing. But yes, you can haul smaller children on the back of this bike and many others. But then there's a rail system. You can pick up what is called the orbiter from Lectric that gives your kids something to hang on to. Almost every other brand calls it something else, a child cage. They call them handrails. And if you have younger kids, it is super important, just helps give them some additional protection. Now, if you're hauling cargo, you'll notice there's all these bolts on the XPedition here. That's because it's compatible with their rear basket. They also have a +1 seat that you can mount in the rear. And if you are considering the XPedition, be sure to check out the links in the description to see what accessories Lectric is currently including, because right now you can get their running boards, that quick release in the rear here for older children. It's also a great spot for bags to rest on. But then you also get the seat pads if you have older children. Other accessories they're currently including include the XL pannier bags, 2 of them, and then the Orbiter as well. And then finally, a frame bag. There's a few different brands that offer frame bags, but it gives you additional storage in the center here. Some will tuck it behind the seat tube. But another important accessory, especially for us as we put kids in the rear, is having additional storage. You'll want to check out if the cargo e-bike you're considering to purchase has a front rack and preferably a large basket in the front. That just allows you to haul a lot more things, a lot more kid things, allows you to do grocery runs. And what I personally like is the large basket, and Lectric happens to have a roll top bag that we've been using on our other XPedition. So if you need additional capacity, make sure you check out what's available for the front of the bike. For older children, if you don't want them to use the handrail or Orbiter in this case, Lectric sells a barrel bar, which actually attaches to the seat post, and various brands have different things that can allow older children to still have something to hang on to while not feeling completely enclosed. It allows them to get in the bike a little bit easier as well. If you're familiar with this bike, you know we need to talk about it. You need to consider battery capacity as well as motor power, and the Lectric XPedition is best in class here, especially when you consider the $16.99 price point. Again, check out our full review as well as our 1,000-mile update if you really want to dive deep on this bike. But the XPedition is a powerhouse with its 1,310 watt peak motor. Yes, it's loud, but it has never let us down. It has 85 Newton meters of torque. And of course, when you're hauling cargo, you're going to run through more battery than you otherwise would, which is why Lectric decided to offer a dual battery version of the XPedition, where normally you get 14 amp hours on a cargo e-bike, maybe a little bit more, 15 amp hours. On the Lectric XPedition, you get 28 amp hours with their dual battery option. Suffice to say, it's more capacity than most people need, but it's also nice not to have to recharge your bike after every ride. And we have just never worried about if we're gonna run out of battery. This next one might not seem like a big deal, but after 6 years of riding cargo e-bikes, trust me, it's very important. And that is the kickstand. What you want to look for is a nice, big, burly, sturdy kickstand. This is maybe where the XPedition falls short, and I think they have some work to do before the next generation comes out. And that's because this one can sink into soft ground. It also can loosen up after a few hundred miles, so you want to make sure it's tight. But on some of the other cargo e-bikes, the kickstands are super sturdy. Now, most brands will not recommend that you load it with the kickstand deployed. That's going to be up to you, of course, whether you feel like it's safe. You should always follow manufacturer's recommendations though, and it should go without saying that you should never leave your kids on here unattended with the kickstand deployed. Of course, there's a chance that they can tip over, but it's important for your kickstand to be sturdy so you have the confidence that it's not going anywhere and that no matter where you go, the kickstand is going to hold up just fine. So don't overlook the kickstand on the bike that you're purchasing. Next, does the cargo e-bike you're looking at have a throttle? Most of the ones featured on the channel do, but not all of them, especially if you get to some of the higher end mid-drive ones, they don't have throttles, so it's a spec that you want to check. And on this bike, it has a right-hand twist grip throttle. You'll also find thumb throttles, just depends on the brand and the model. But from my perspective, having a throttle is so important, either to get going or perhaps at a stoplight. You're not gonna be sluggish off the line, especially with the more powerful motor on this particular bike. And remember, just because it has a throttle doesn't mean you can't pedal alongside the throttle. It's just nice, in my opinion, knowing you can get the full power out of the motor and still pedal. So let me know where you stand. Would you ever consider a cargo e-bike without a throttle? Next, let's talk about components. The Lectric XPedition is outfitted with components that I call great for recreational riding, but perhaps more importantly, you want to make sure that you have a wide range of gears. So if you are climbing a hill, you can shift into a very low gear and still provide power and of course climb the hill. And then when you want to travel at higher speeds, you have higher gears so you can still provide pedal pressure. Now, most cargo e-bikes at this point are well designed with gearing and gear ratios in mind while loaded. Of course, that's what this bike is made for. But say you're someone who wants a higher end derailleur, maybe you want a specific shifter, that's something to look out for. We have Shimano's basic thumb shifter here. Again, perfect for recreational riding, but not a high performance product. Next, let's talk about top speed, in particular, whether the cargo e-bike you're looking at can go 20 or pedal assist up to 28. Now, the XPedition that you see here can go up to 28. You do want to be mindful, especially if you have precious cargo in the rear. Usually I cruise at max speed around 21, 22 with the kids in the back. Make sure to ride within your ability, but you will find some cargo e-bikes that top out at 20 miles per hour, whether you're using the throttle or pedal assist. Maybe you don't bring the kids with you all the time. You do a grocery run and you want to travel at higher speeds. So a spec to consider. And to go along with top speed, how does the motor engage? Does the bike have a cadence sensor or a torque sensor? The XPedition here has a cadence sensor, which means as long as you're spinning those pedals, you're going to get power from the motor, of course, in the selected pedal assist level. But a torque sensor will measure how much power you're putting into the pedals and amplifies it more. Again, check out some of our reviews of cadence sensor cargo electric bikes, as well as some torque sensor electric bikes. Just know that you're going to pay a little bit more for a torque sensor on a cargo electric bike. Next, let's talk about something that's important to me and my wife, and probably you as well: comfort. Now, with the XPedition, we have these adjustable handlebars. This allows both my wife and I to ride this bike because you can customize the cockpit to your liking. You can also turn the handlebars, or maybe you're taller like me and you just want them straight up. Now, some cargo e-bikes like the XPedition don't have any suspension, some do. So decide whether you want a front suspension fork. Note that will add to weight, but yes, it does add significant comfort. But another way you can add comfort to your cargo electric bike is a suspension seat post, as well as an upgraded seat. We've put both on our own XPedition, again, our white one, but a suspension seat post is a game changer, so highly recommend it. But on the stock XPedition, it's important to note that this has a telescoping seat post, which means there's two sets of adjustments. So here's the top one, you can go super high, and then the other quick release clamp at the bottom here, the seat can go lower. And a quick tip, if you do plan to put a suspension seat post on a bike with a telescoping seat post like this, more than likely you'll just want to replace the top here because the bottom is wider, of course, so it can be telescoping. This is 34.9. Maybe you can find a shim that will work with a suspension seat post, but more than likely it's going to be easier to find the size that fits in here. So that's something to be mindful of. Next, safety. Yes, generally, like in the rear here, if you have older kids, you should make sure there's some protection here, like Lectric includes. You'll also see wheel skirts and some other designs around the wheel to help prevent anything from getting caught in there. But what I wanted to talk about is electrical safety, and in particular, the UL certifications. At this point, you should probably only buy a bike that's UL certified. Most of the reputable brands have already gone down this route. But batteries being UL 2271 certified and the entire bike being UL 2849 are both important. And those certifications are required now in New York City. Of course, the Lectric XPedition has both of those certifications. So make sure you're buying from a reputable brand like one that we've featured on the channel. Yes, there are tons of cargo e-bikes that I turned down. Next, I can't tell you how many questions I've received on this, both YouTube comments on our website. Which child seat is compatible with my cargo electric bike? Now the brands should do a good job of telling you what to buy, but say you're going on Amazon or you want to pick it up locally, it is so confusing, and that's because Thule makes it confusing. So with the Lectric XPedition, this is the Thule Maxi. Sometimes you'll see Easy Fit in the description, and this is what fits in the windows on the XPedition. Just to show you an example, you simply insert the bottom part first, like so, and then you turn to lock it, and it does have a key lock as well. And then the red button here, this is how you can release the seat. And then next, no pun intended, you have the Thule Next Maxi seat. It has 2 X's in the name, again, super confusing, but this is the clamp-on style. It mounts to the outside of the rails of some cargo e-bikes. It works the same, you kind of push this button and then you turn it like so. Now, while I'm kind of venting on the confusing naming of these child seats, I do like them. We use them all the time. We've been using them since our nearly 5-year-old could actually fit in one around 9 months. So the quality is there, but they could use some work on their naming. And not to add to the confusion, but now they have the Next 2, which is similar to this one, still the clamp-on style, but it has just a little extra padding on the side here. So check out Thule seats, and yes, they are expensive. We'll have links down to them in the description in case you want to pick one up. And just to throw another one in the mix, this is the Urban Icky. Thanks Electric Bike Company for sending us this so we could check it out. So what's unique about this seat is it attaches to any rack that has MIC compatibility, MIK. And so if the cargo e-bike that you're considering has a MIC rack, you can just search for MIC compatible child seats like this one. Very similar to the Thule seats, just with a little less padding. Just to give you some background though, I have seen a lot more brands move to MIC compatible rear racks, though I haven't seen a MIC compatible rear rack just yet on a cargo e-bike. That's not to say it doesn't exist yet, but what's nice about the MIC compatible products is yes, you can mount the seat, but then you can also mount a rear bag. We sell our own. So I hope to see just generally more e-bike brands move to MIC, because then we have compatible accessories to buy from almost anywhere. And on all these seats, the footrest can be adjusted. They have straps here. And yes, 2 spots to put the straps through, whether you have a smaller child like you see here, or perhaps your kid is a little bit bigger. Be mindful of the weight capacities on all of these seats. And then yes, of course, adjustable straps on each as well. And if you have 2 small kids, you of course want to make sure there's compatibility with 2 of these seats like we have here on the XPedition. Or if you have 3 kids like I do, you need to make sure you have a cargo e-bike that can fit 3 kids. Yes, they do exist. And just a reminder, do you remember at the beginning of the video, I asked you one favor? If you're looking to purchase an electric bike, please help support the channel for free by using our link down in the description. It directly supports the channel. But if you don't plan to buy, but you found this video interesting, helpful, be sure you're subscribed to the channel, give it a like. Thank you so much for your support. It's hard to believe that I've been riding cargo e-bikes for 6 years. Yes, our first cargo e-bike was in 2018. Let me know if you're a cargo e-biker down in the comment section. Let me know if I missed anything. And of course, if you buy a cargo e-bike, I just hope that you love it just as much as I did with my first cargo e-bike. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.